I understand that week one doesn't necessarily dictate how the rest of the season is going to go, but there are some things during week one that has to be discussed. And I think the most discussed game, or the game that has the most to talk about, obviously, is the Buffalo Bills going up against the Baltimore Ravens. The Bills coming back from 15 down in this fourth quarter, 4.5 minutes left in the fourth quarter. The Ravens were up 15 points, and they ended up losing 41-40. I have to start this off by talking about the Ravens because, yes, this is yet another year where I picked the Ravens to win the Super Bowl. This is yet another year where I think Lamar Jackson is going to be the MVP. When something happened once, it just happens. When something happens twice, it might be a coincidence. When something happens three times, you might hold on. This might be a trend. But when something happens 17 times, there's issues afoot. John Harbaugh has been on the losing end of a game where they're leading by double digits majority of the game going into the fourth quarter. He has lost 17 of those games. Now, obviously, Lamar Jackson isn't all a part of those 17, but John Harbaugh is a part of those 17. I'm never going to disrespect John Harbaugh as a coach. I'm not going to say he can't coach. I'm not going to say he's a terrible coach. But there are things that myself as a viewer shouldn't instantly pick up before the head coach of a football team. The Baltimore Ravens, even with Lamar Jackson, has a long history of taking their foot off the gas. And I get it. You're up 15 with 4.5 minutes. Your goal is to win, obviously, but you want to run out the clock. I get that. But my thing is, when is your history going to set in? When is the fact of you've blown 17 of these games? By far the most from anyone. When is that going to start kicking in that, okay, maybe let's not try to be conservative right now. Let's try to finish this. You know what it hit me? You know what hit me? I feel like John Harbaugh is the football equivalent of Doc Rivers. We all know Doc Rivers as the coach that obviously won an NBA championship with the Celtics in 2009, I believe, or 8, one of those two. We also know that Doc Rivers has blown the most playoff series leads in NBA history. And we talk about Doc Rivers as one of these great coaches, as one of these pantheon coaches, because of that championship. And while, yes, all the playoff blunders get talked about, they don't get talked about in the same light as the championship, for obvious reasons. But when people talk about Doc Rivers, he's looked at as such this historic coach. I always think to myself when I hear Doc Rivers' name, I wonder how they talk about him if he didn't win that championship with the Eagles. I mean, with the Celtics. I wonder how Doc Rivers would be looked at if all he had was those playoff blunders on his resume. I don't know how many years we can go by. And again, I'm not calling John Harbaugh a bad coach, but how many years can we go by? And Nick Wright said this, and shout out to Nick Wright. Nick Wright said, the Baltimore Ravens are always on the losing end of these games. Up big, the other team comes back and wins. The Ravens are always on the losing end. The one time I can remember vividly that Baltimore was on the winning side of this was when Lamar Jackson, I think it was 2-3 years ago, they were going up against the Colts and Carson Wentz. And they were down big, but Lamar Jackson and the offense led them to the win. That's the only time I can think about it. And my thing is this. I wonder how do we talk, just like I talked about Doc Rivers, I wonder how we would talk about John Harbaugh if he didn't win that Super Bowl. Or didn't have what? Yeah, win that Super Bowl. Because, again, 17 times, not one, not two, not three, 17 times John Harbaugh has been on the losing end of these type of games. Derrick Henry is going off. And I'm not calling John Harbaugh a bad coach because a lot of things led to this loss for the Ravens. Derrick Henry's fumble. I'm not taking away from the incredible game that he had. Derrick Henry was one of the main reasons why the Baltimore Ravens got to 40 points. And the fumble ultimately not only swung the momentum over to the Bills side, but it essentially sealed the fate for the Baltimore Ravens. Lamar Jackson. I'm not in no way, shape, or form am I putting this loss on Lamar Jackson's shoulders. But what I will do is Lamar Jackson, the last possession that they had, either A, Lamar Jackson knew that we had 4 downs to play with, which you should have, or if you didn't believe that, I wouldn't have thrown it short to DeAndre Hopkins. But that's a nitpick. Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry had incredible games. They were the main reason why the Baltimore Ravens had 40 points. Derrick Henry and the fumble, which he's already admitted to, is one of the major reasons why the Buffalo Bills were able to come back. But still, why is it that every single time this happens, we talk about, damn, the Ravens took their foot off the gas. The Ravens got too conservative. That's coaching. That is coaching. But the biggest reason, and this reason actually, I'm going to broaden it out a little bit. I'm going to talk about the Buffalo Bills as well as the Baltimore Ravens. If you sit here today on a Wednesday morning, Wednesday afternoon, whenever the hell you listen to this, you should feel much worse about your team's chances to win a Super Bowl if you're the Buffalo Bills or the Baltimore Ravens, because there's no way, shape, or form that you go into a game against the team that you just faced in the second round, probably the best playoff game in the playoffs all last year, and both defenses give up a combined total of 81 points. Baltimore, we were happy about Jair Alexander. We were happy about, getting some of the pieces back, having such that vaunted, and not to mention that defense played better towards the end of the year. But the defense gave up 41 points. Scratch that. The defense gave up 22 points in the fourth quarter. Josh Allen damn near threw for 250 yards in the fourth quarter alone. He threw for 389 yards and rushed for 30 yards. The defense was getting cooked. And if you're talking about the Buffalo Bills, Lamar Jackson, if it wasn't for that, there's a lot of things that helped the Buffalo Bills get that win. But if it was not for Lamar Jackson, if it wasn't for Derrick Henry fumbling the ball, they still gave up 40 points. Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry combined was the reason why they had 40 points. Don't get me wrong. I will give credit where credit is due. I've been very loud and very vocal about about Josh Allen winning the MVP last year and how I thought that MVP should have went to Lamar Jackson. I will say that for this game, Josh Allen showed why he's the clear-cut best player in the NFL right now. I don't know too many quarterbacks that would have had or been in that situation and won. Josh Allen right now has proven that he is the best player in football, at least the best quarterback. He was incredible. He was sensational. But it also goes back to, how many times are you going to let Josh Allen get out of contain if you're the Baltimore Ravens defense? As much as we praise Jaire Alexander, he was getting torched. And now I know he didn't. I don't think he practiced he didn't practice a lot. He didn't do the preseason, but still, this is the biggest game, at least of the season right now. And this what happened. I'm not going to stay on this game for too much longer because, we don't need to break down the numbers. We don't need to do all that. What I'm saying is this. It's unfortunate and it's crazy that the Baltimore Ravens are always on the other side of this. We're never coming into Monday or Wednesday or whatever and thinking to ourselves, the Baltimore Ravens had a great comeback win. It's always somebody had a comeback win on the Baltimore Ravens. And if you know what, I'll say it. If we're ranking whose fault this is, number 1 is the defense for giving up 41 points. Number 2 is Derrick Henry's fumble, which he has already admitted to. And number 3 is John Harbaugh, the coaching staff, being conservative. The defensive, it's just. I think I'm starting this episode so vigorously is because it's true. When you look on paper, the Baltimore Ravens have one of, if not the best rosters in football. Yet and still, this continues to happen. And what's even worse is Lamar Jackson played incredible. Derrick Henry played incredible. You get to 40 points. You have a 15-point lead with 4.5 minutes left in the game. And we're talking today that the Buffalo Bills prevailed. That's crazy. But if there's any team that would do that, it would, or lose a game like that, it is the Baltimore Ravens. So while I'm not going to go back on my Super Bowl pick, games like this is why I have no faith in my pick. Because again, Lamar Jackson played great. Derrick Henry played great, and it still didn't matter. Derrick Henry, I think, busted out 3 30-plus yard runs. First time in his career. Didn't matter. And on top of that, the Baltimore Ravens have one of the toughest schedules in the league. So, speaking of that, congratulations, I will say, actually, to the Buffalo Bills for beating the Baltimore Ravens 41-40. Oh, man, you stayed to the end of the video. I appreciate you. If you like what you saw, be sure to hit that subscribe button so you'll never miss any content from your boy. You can also go back and watch past episodes, past clips, and don't forget that the Unpopular Podcast, new episodes drop every Wednesday and Saturday. Appreciate you.